Good time of day, everybody. So, speaking of the time of the day, time is very important, especially when it comes to dealing with that, such as managing the time. So, in this episode, we'll try to look at the pillars of what we found to be successful time management techniques in our experience, and probably we'll ruminate about something that we can implement further to enhance the time management skills in the life.
I like how you talked about pillars, because now, like, the way I see this and what we're going to talk about, and we did touch upon it in one episode, right? We referred to time management and mind management, but today we decided we're going to go into a deeper dive into it.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things I liked, what you just mentioned, you said pillars, and let's think of this as like the main pillars of efficiency:
Yeah,
time and mind, right?
exactly.
One thing goes, doesn't come back. The other thing, you have to use it wisely. You
Mm-hmm.
lose time, you can't gain it back. Your mind, if you lose your mind, you better gain it back.
Oh,
Kind of
yeah.
thing, right? And so we do this every time. Like we all schedule our days, we all, put time on our calendar, whatever, like everyone has their own way of
Very
managing
different.
their time and doing the things they want to be doing. But then if you think about it, like when you're dedicating time for certain things during your day, whether it be something easy, whether it be something tedious, whether it be anything,
Yes.
right? Like, is your mind where it needs to be the entire time? Or are you allotting time for, you know, distractions, or
Oh, yeah.
having your mind wander and go elsewhere and not using your time go wisely, right? And as soon as you mentioned this, it made me think about something, a quote I heard not too long ago, right? And it's something as simple as this. It goes,
Yes.
if you give yourself 6 hours to clean your room, you'll do it in 6 hours. If
Okay.
you give yourself 1 hour to clean your room, you'll do it in 1 hour. The same thing applies for your goals.
Indeed.
So, in simple terms, right? Like when you give yourself a certain amount of time to do something, just make sure your mind is where it needs to be, so that way you can do it efficiently. And then
Yeah.
even like you'll realize that like you probably won't even need as much time as you initially scheduled for it. Then it gives you more
Mm.
time to do
Yeah.
other things. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the case for like travel time and all these things. Like obviously these things are out of our control. But what we do have control over is our mind when we're
Yeah.
doing something, whether it's tedious, whether it's simple. So the way I see it is, if we push ourselves and we make sure that our mind is where it needs to be when doing anything really, then we can realize that like, we can do things a lot more efficiently, and then we can also learn faster
Exactly.
than we want to. And all it takes is just mind management and just,
Yeah.
getting yourself to stay focused. If you have anything else to add to that.
That is a great point. So yeah, actually, so up until today, I kind of did not think about this time management in conjunction with mind management, because what I was thinking about was more of like a blunt approach to time management. Okay, so think about some sort of tools, right, which will help you manage the time. Maybe it's going to be a notebook, right? So in which you can just write down your to-do lists for a particular day. Or right now, I started using calendars a lot. So yeah, because oftentimes I have lots of things on my plate. So maybe there's going to be some sort of like appointment, meeting, presentation, and then training. So then I decided to kind of like put everything on the calendar, actually, for a particular week, for example. And I try to plan it in advance. Maybe I sit down on Monday, for example, or on the weekend, and I plan out the week ahead. So yeah, that's what was helping me to manage the time. So yeah, but then I think one of the first things when it comes actually to the execution, so the calendar will not kind of like execute things for you, nor the to-do list will make things kind of like happen, right? So that's going to be kind of you who will need to do that. And I think in this case, one of the first things that you'll need to deal with is commitment. You just need to commit to kind of like go to the training, for example. Let's say today again, we are bringing the example of jiu-jitsu. Well, so the open mat was scheduled from 10:30 until 12:30, but then I decided to commit to just 1 hour, and then I just put it on the calendar. I went and I did it. So, but the calendar itself was only part of the success. It was my mind through which I made the commitment. So that was kind of like one of the pillars for actually successful execution based on time management and planning and strategy, things like that.
Quickly to add to that, right? You mentioned that, like you scheduled or you managed your time to do this certain task of the open mat for an hour, right?
Yes.
And I'm guessing you were in that situation, like when you were in the open mat, when you were doing your training, your drills, or your rolling, like the only thing you were thinking about is what's happening now, like what you're doing now, which I see this as obviously good mind management, also good time management, because you dedicated an hour of your day to do something hard, something difficult.
Yeah.
But the more important thing is, like, when you were doing that task, when you were training, your mind wasn't like, oh, what am I going to talk about in today's episode? No, your mind was, okay, what do I have to do right now? Right? Which is like how really time management and mind management very much so go hand in hand. Like the other day in work, right? I
Yeah.
have like coworkers who were like, oh, like I spent like an hour or two on this report. I did it in a half an hour. Why? Because I'm not complaining about what I have to do. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
here. I sit my butt down, and
Yeah.
then I'm just doing one thing after the other, right? My phone is in front of me, but I'm not like, working for 10, 15 minutes and then I'm on my phone for like another 10, 15 minutes. No. I'm like, I want to get this done as fast as I can and do it as well as I can. But my main goal was doing it efficiently, right?
Absolutely.
So I did it in half the amount of time,
Yeah.
right? And then it's funny, like when we think of work, when we think of tasks, right? Like we think of how valuable like someone's time is, right? And how valuable your time is not, what you're able to do. It's basically like how quick you're able to do it. Why and
Yeah.
how quick you're able to do something is what makes your time more valuable to others, obviously. Hence, that's why, like, people like lawyers, doctors, whatever, they get paid lots of money.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're able to do things like they're able to do their jobs well, they're able to do their jobs quick. Why? Because their mind is where it needs to be when they do certain things,
Oh yeah.
right? But just bringing the subject out of work, like this applies to many things, really. As simple as cleaning a room, I'd say.
Yeah.
To summarize what both you guys are saying, one expression kept coming up in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. Because you need a plan. You can't just do anything in your life without a plan. And it sounds easier said than done, create a plan, but simple tips and tricks that I guess can improve your planning ability is start with your day. So create a schedule, like
Mm-hmm.
find areas in your schedule that are consistent.
Yes.
Whereas, like, you can start with wake up, sleeping times. Um, doesn't have to be concrete in case of emergencies, but those generalized times can help solidify everything else you want to plan later on. So if you know you have a strict or concrete bed and wake up time, then it's so much easier to prepare your day to complete things you want to get done. But then let's say, everything is a mess. Your life is a mess. You can't seem to get things in order.
Yeah.
From that, prioritize. Simply prioritize what needs to get done. Easy way to, I guess, prioritize when you're going to say, well, what if I have so much? Find the one thing that needs to be get done as quickest and as fast as possible. Because if that's not done
Mm.
quickly, then you have
Yeah.
destruction, chaos, and disorder, and life is in shambles. But when I say plan, the number one thing to avoid is, I guess, scheduling exact minutes. Like, I don't wake up and say from 6 to 6:05 I will get out of my bed.
Yeah.
Then from 6:15 to 6:30 I will cook breakfast and eat it. Then from 6:40 to 6:50 I will get dressed and heading to work. No, this is impossible to live by. So like instead broaden these tasks, like, okay, from 6 to 7, I have to get ready for work. Oh, what do I do to get ready? Eat, change, shower, get ready. Boom. Try to fit that within 1 hour and play around with your schedule. But don't plan out your whole day. You need empty spots in your schedule where nothing is planned. And that is so important. And it's just as important as planning your work. Because when you have empty spots, let's say one task takes too long where it starts to leak into the empty area. You're fine because nothing is planned in for that area. If you get done early, you have, what you like to call me time. With that time, you can detach, take a step back, see, okay, I have extra time. What can I do now? And when I mean schedule empty slots, is don't schedule empty time to do nothing, but have these open areas because you can't create a perfect plan. There's no such thing as a perfect plan.
Exactly.
So like these tips have certainly improved like my scheduling ability. And if you're able to create
Yeah.
a schedule, try it out, then you're able to manage your time properly, to backpedal on what you guys were saying earlier. Because when you think of it, a schedule is your day, but then consistently doing it over and over again, you are doing something that is a positive programming to your mind. You're teaching yourself, okay, how can I efficiently create a plan, stick to it, even though some days I don't quite feel like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would like to add to that kind of like leaking of time notion, right? So what I also like try to do, I think about like progression of like a typical day uh, as a like linear thing, right? To some extent. So I can like wake up and then start doing something, right? Maybe start with a routine. Okay, that's going to be my first step, right? Then the next chronological step will be to get to, let's say, the campus, for example, and then perform some sort of work, whatever that could be, maybe presentation, maybe preparation for some presentation, right? So get it done. And then as I do something, what I found is was important to sort of block off some sort of periods of time without distractions. So, and then during those periods of time, I'm focused on the task, and then I will have at least more chances to kind of succeed in doing this task on time. That in turn will help me to avoid the leaking of the task into other periods of time, which I could use for something else, maybe for a rest, for a walk, take a breather, do some quick exercise, for instance. So in that case, the avoidance of distractions, I think, was something that was of paramount importance for me to be able to kind of successfully perform the task in a more or less timed manner. So yeah, because I don't want to, let's say, clean the room for 6 hours. I want to get it done in just 1 hour. So then it's realistic, it's possible. But what I found, distractions, that's kind of like the most actually destructive thing for your time management, or one of those more destructive things.
I love how you mentioned distractions and then you added distractions after, because they sound very similar, like distractions and destructions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Distraction equals destruction,
Yeah.
right? But then again, like Wahab talked about flexibility and all, like, I mean, we're human beings, we're not robots, we're not machines. We get distracted, we get thrown off sometimes, but like as long as we, incorporate the second pillar of efficiency, which is mind management, to that time management, then that kind of like gets us alert to be sure, like, oh, I'm getting distracted, time to get
Yeah.
back on track,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have a task, you dedicated like an hour of your time to do that, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you're in the flow, and then you
Right.
get distracted for like a minute or two. As soon as you notice that, and hopefully you notice that soon, that's your cue to like you get yourself back on track, and then you go and complete what you need to finish. Because like the goal at the end of the day is like you want to do things efficiently, you want to do things well, and you want to make sure you're getting something out of it at the end of the day. Like whether it's a task you have at work, whether it's something you're doing at training, whether it's, chores, errands, all that stuff. right? Like even like when you go grocery shopping, something as simple as grocery shopping, you need to have the mind management and time management, right? Because you don't want to spend too much time doing it. And then when you add the concept of mind management to it, like you want to make sure you're going there and then you leave having purchased everything you needed to. We've all had these times where like we leave the store, we're like, ah shit, I didn't get like eggs, for example. I didn't get milk, didn't get oil, didn't get butter. Why? Because our mind was kind of wandering at times. We weren't really focused and all. But then again, like it helps to have lists, it helps to have reminders, it helps to have all these things that technology has like allowed us to gain, right? Because it really helps us manage our time and manage our mind even more, right? We're all human beings, we all forget things, right? That's why we have these things called reminders. They're very helpful, I think, and I've been living by them for like quite some time now. And honestly, I have to say, this, along with dedicating time for certain things, has really helped me, like manage my time better, manage my days better, and honestly, just like my lifestyle, I feel like improved overall. I don't know if you guys can say the same. I hope you can.
Yeah, I think I do agree with this notion as well. So yeah, I can think about now the managing of the time as something that goes in conjunction with the mind, right? So because time management, maybe it's going to be more like a tool, right? So and then your mind will be more like a some sort of mission control panel or something like that. So, well, if there is some sort of derailment going on, such as a distraction, right? So, like, such as like a cell phone, that's like a very common example. So, yeah, these days, I think a lot of people can relate to that. So yeah, that's kind of like what distracts me a lot of times, and then that's where I found myself as kind of like, or that's what I identified as a time sink. That's my cell phone, right? Not so much other things. So if somebody kind of like knocks on the door and then you have a chat with that person, then it's like not nearly as destructive for your time management as the cell phone and related applications, so to speak. So yeah, that's what I need to control, and then this kind of like comes from the mind, right? So because if I turn off the mind and then let some sort of social media take the management of me, then yeah, so I'm gonna lose kind of like in this like battle of accomplishing some task in, let's say, 45 minutes. So this is gonna be most likely taking longer, and yeah, I'll be falling behind, so things like that. But at the same time, if something kind of like really important comes in and becomes a distractor, then yeah, in this case, I will try to become flexible and then realize that, okay, well, I can kind of like follow the perfect plan. So there will be some distractions. And then if they're worthwhile, then yeah, so I will kind of redirect my attention to them. So, but if they're not worthwhile, then yeah, it's just important to say no and bat them down.
So I love how you talked about social media and then you touched upon mindless scrolling. Like that's what they call it when you're just scrolling social media for like just for the sake of your own entertainment. They call it mindless scrolling. Why do they
Yeah,
call it mindless scrolling? Because you're clearly not managing your mind. Nor of course are you managing your time properly with that. But if that's part of your daily routine to have these distractions, to have these, flexible times and all, just make sure you're not overdoing it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Just make sure you're like when it's time to have your mind where it needs to be, just make sure you have it where it needs to be. Like you'll thank yourself in the long run, I think.
Yeah. It's all about the dosage. So yeah, if you
Oh
do
yeah.
it kind of like throughout the day, for example, let's say every like hour or something like that, right? So to me, it seems like an overkill. And then honestly, to those people who do that, I feel sad for them because yeah, what are you doing? You're just wasting your life. So you like make some sort of okay, well, like sending all the memes like every hour. So like what are you doing? So what's the value? Okay, well, so you can find something more productive. Yeah, so I also do send out memes and some sort of funny reels from time to time, but I would say that I do it kind of like infrequently, or I do it seldom. Yes, maybe I do it. Well, I would say, yeah, I can say that I do it daily. So maybe not every day, to be honest. So, but just not to boast, let's say I do it daily, right? So, but I would send maybe like one a day to like several friends of mine or some sort of group chat, and then then I'll say, well, that's enough. So yeah, because if you think about that, well, you have 24 hours of the day, right? And then I would spend maybe like 5 minutes on it, right? So but then the other person will spend like, I don't know, whatever the number of working hours, 8 hours, right? And then they send out something every hour, so it's like 5 minutes multiplied by 8, so that's only like 40 minutes, right, of your day. And then you could have been doing something like better than sending those mindless memes. Well, they're mostly for entertainment, which is also kind of necessary, but that's where you need to kind of like engage your
Redo it, I
mind
think.
and manage that. And be flexible. So I don't want to be kind of a hard ass and then, okay, well, 100% time will be dedicated to like content creation or some sort of like science pursuits, right? Or training, right? For example, I said, oh, just kind of like run around a little bit, 5 minutes or something like that. So that's no big deal. And then I'll just let it to be a wash and then send some memes. And then, maybe actually you can think about that. It could be something productive. Maybe it's going to be like a conversation spark, so to speak. So then, you can talk to somebody about something actually productive. So there is a kind of like give and take, plus and minus, advantage, disadvantage to that. But I agree, like don't overdo it, do not OD, and then you'll be fine in medical
Speaking of overdoing, and I know we're short on time, but everything you just said reminds me of this one friend. Of course, Wahab knows this friend. He's in a different part of the world, and obviously we're not going to name drop here, but this person sends me Instagram memes, sends me like reels and all that stuff for like probably like at least 4, 5, 6, 7 a day, right? And so I got to the point where I asked this person, I'm like, bro,
This is a sad situation, in my
how
opinion.
often are you scrolling Instagram? How often are you scrolling? And then he says so much, and he's laughing, and like obviously like then like I de-escalated the conversation. I wasn't gonna keep going, but like honestly, like I felt bad for him. Like if you're really just sitting here for hours and hours, just like scrolling and then sending to people and all, like the hell are you doing with your life? Like go out there
Failing,
and do something. Yeah, go out there and do something productive, useful, you know?
failing to plan is planning to fail.
Exactly.
And to
Indeed.
sum up, like again, you don't need from 6 o'clock to 6:30. I have this 6:30 to 7 o'clock. I'm gonna run a marathon. 7 o'clock to 7:30. I'm gonna lift weights. Like you should not be that precise in your scheduling.
Exactly.
And even like speaking from my own experience, a year after staying to a consistent schedule where I just had like essentials and vital functions of the day planned, like sleep, okay, we have a schedule. Excuse me, wake up, we have a schedule.
Yeah.
The whole 8 hour block of work is scheduled. The 3 hour block after work, I have to like exercise, train, recover, do all that is like generally scheduled. But again, things do happen. Some days, like you can't schedule, medical emergencies. You can't schedule like things that need your attention right now. And the days where I felt like I didn't stick to schedule, they felt like a waste. And like after having that feeling, like it was not something I wanted to repeat again.
Can
Like,
confirm.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like especially looking back on those days prior, I guess you can call it scheduling mindset, is that you can just call it one big blur of absolute nothingness. Like I'm existing but not living, and
Yeah, we
it's
mentioned
a
that before.
it's a very sad thing to see, because especially so many people are just existing, you know, preset programming taking place. Okay, I wake up, I go to work, and that's it.
I
Like
come back home,
nothing
I sit on
else.
the couch and watch TV.
Yeah, I sit on the
Yeah.
couch, watch TV. I sit in my desk at work. I sit in my car all day. Like these just simple concepts where you think of just like I don't even have my schedule written down. It's just all mental. Like I know these times what I should be doing
Oh yeah.
simply because of
Good point.
repetition and consistency.
Exactly.
So experiment, try, using, different scheduling techniques. If you need to write it down, write it down. If you want to use your phone, that's a great tool to use it. But just stick to a plan. If you don't have a plan, make a plan, which hopefully we'll be covering in another episode, winky, winky.
Because,
Exactly.
speaking of time management and mind management, more so time management, we don't want to go too over. So, if you have any wrapping up points, yeah.
Yeah, so that's as I think we did hit some hopefully useful points for you, dear listeners and viewers. And as I would say, so yeah, time management and mind management, it is a complicated endeavor. So it would require quite a bit of various approaches in order to be successful in this venture. So just don't be discouraged and keep going, keep adjusting. I would say if something doesn't work, then yeah, kind of like don't be stubborn and continue doing something that doesn't work, but instead adjust and then kind of like maybe instead of attacking, defend something, right? So yeah, that's kind of like the nature of this beast. We need to be aware of that. But if we can kind of actually manage that beast, pun intended, then yeah, so kind of you'll be able to achieve some successes which you never thought before would be possible. So, and then, yeah, that's what kind of like happened in my case. Once I started kind of like being mindful about my time management, I was able to kind of like, let's say, train in a manner so which I couldn't achieve before, for example, or do some kind of like extra projects which I couldn't add to my schedule and my life in general. So yeah, but it's not going to be easy, but I think I'm pretty sure it's going to be doable and you will reap great benefits.
Speaking of scheduling, I'm reaching that time in my schedule where I must say good night and goodbye to you all.
Exactly. Well,
Leave.
have a good one.
Take care, my friends.
Excellent. So, and with that being said, we kind of like ask you to leave comments, share the podcast with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel if you found this content useful. So feel free to leave your suggestions by leaving the comment below or reaching out to us directly. So we read and accept everything to consideration to make our channel better, to help you become better. Keep hacking the life.